So hello and welcome to the Digital DJ Tips look at the Denon X1800. I'm Phil Morse, this is Steve Canuetto. We get to play with a lot of the gear here because we're the lucky ones. And this is a particularly nice piece of gear. It was released alongside the SC5000 Prime media players, and taken together, this setup we have here is Denon's answer to Pioneer's Pro DJ gear. This is their attempt to wrestle their way into the Pro DJ booth. Now, we've reviewed the SC5000s before. We think they're pretty revolutionary. The mixer, of course, they had to have a mixer as well. You can't just release media players and expect people to use someone else's mixer. So this is to be seen as a set, but this is a supporting player to the media players for certain. However, you do need a mixer. So quite sensibly, Steve's been looking at this. I've just been kind of like keeping an eye on what he's up to in the background. So quite sensibly, they've kept it to the kind of layout you'd expect, right? Yeah. No one's going to be. No one who's used to Pioneer is going to think, wow, what's this all about? No, nothing to throw you. A touch strip is obviously, you don't see that on many mixers, so that's pretty cool, but pretty familiar layout. Certainly for people who are used to using 4-channel club mixers. Yeah. So what I want to talk through here is, there's a really good video, and surprisingly it's by Denon themselves. We all know that those kind of branded videos are generally pretty rubbish, not naming any names, but this is a good one because they've gone very, very methodically through all the effects and all the settings and all the features. So we're not going to do that. Instead, Steve's been using this quite a lot for the last few weeks, and he's got some stuff to share with you that is standout, that's different about this mixer, and that might kind of sway your opinion after you've looked at the branded videos. So we'll start off by talking about setting it up, because there's some nice integrations between this and the players. So you plug your network cables in, you do all the usual stuff. What happens? What have you got once you've done that? Yeah, so it's similar to the Pioneer DJ link system. And once it's all linked, the nice features are that when you put your channel fader up, the deck that's live, the jog wheel lights up in the chosen colour, and you can choose the colours of the jog wheel lights here for your layer themes on the SC5000, which you'll see in the review. So depending on which layer you've got live and which fader you put up, it lights up the turntable, which is nice. And also the Q buttons are actually color coded for the same color coding as well. So this is cool. It just makes it easier when you're working with 4 decks, because each of these can control 2 decks. So you've got 4 decks. It makes it easy to know what you're doing. What about BPM? And of course, the main thing is that it's super tightly integrated for the BPM effects to lock to the BPM, either of the master output or to your master deck if you're using sync, or you can actually set it to follow the BPM of another deck. You can actually assign it. But it works really well, and that's the Engine Connect. So worth pointing out that this is actually data-driven. This is a data-driven BPM counter, unlike the BPM counters in kind of like earlier mixers, which just listened to the music and kind of worked out a BPM that was close-ish, which was a lot better than nothing, but this is kind of next level. That said, you can hold down the tap button for 3 seconds, and it'll switch back to that kind of old-fashioned mode. Good if you're playing records or using players that can't be networked into the system. So talk about we started talking about effects already. It is an effects heavy mixer. Talk very quickly about the filter and sweep effects down here, because I noticed that there's 2 effects knobs for every channel, not 1. So what's going on? It's a big difference with this mixer. So rather than a filter being one of the color effects, or sweep effects as they call it here, they've broken that out. So each channel's got its own filter, really nice high pass, low pass filter, sounds great, and you can switch all of them on or off at the same time, which is great if you've got 2 or 3 tracks in the mix using filters in a breakdown building to a drop, and you want to drop in, you can just switch off those filters all so you don't need 4 hands to get them all back to 12 o'clock. Exactly. And in addition, each channel you've got the sweep effects controls as well, and these are actually really nice. My favourite is the dub echo. I'll give you a quick demo of the dub echo. What they've got right here is the balance of level for me, which some mixers just, they're too loud, these effects. It's always this one, isn't it? The noise, or the white noise, the sweep. Yeah, that's prominent, but you're saying it's pretty bad. You found it to be just about right. It doesn't overpower. Okay. And they're all really nice. The washout is the only one that I reckon they could have lived without, or come up with something a bit more exciting. The gate is very cool. When you're going down, it's got one pattern, and when you're going up, it's got other varying patterns to play with. It's like chopping out, almost like a scratch DJ hitting the fader in and out, various different patterns. Okay, so They're really good. Pretty fully featured here.
Yeah.
Not seen, I can't recall any mixer that's got this amount of stuff going on per channel in the past. So what about the BPM effects? Again, these are pretty standard. We expect a BPM effects engine locked to the BPM and one kind of effect that you can assign across the channels. I'm guessing that's the same here. That kind of basic structure is the same.
With a big button to switch it on or off, and your wet dry control here. And this is the FX Select, so you can actually go through all of the effects here. Really nice screen, by the way, on this. It really stands out. It's got all of kind of the the favourites, and there's one particular favourite of mine, which is the beat break here.
Go on then. I'll let you. Let you
have to have a listen. So this has actually got different patterns in it. So I'm going to just go to pattern 1 here. I don't know if you can see on the screen.
Yeah, we can.
So I'm going to switch it on. Now it's dropping out, it's almost gating certain parts of the track, of the rhythm. Then I'll change the pattern.
Nice. Yeah, put a real groove to a beat with that.
And if you just apply that to certain frequencies, which you can do by using the low-high FX frequency knob here.
Oh, I see. So you can, a bit like the Pioneer high-end stuff has got the ability to apply effects only to certain frequencies, like the highs or the lows, for instance.
Yeah.
You've got a knob here that you can choose the frequency that it's going to center the effect on.
Yeah.
So it's giving you the same kind of thing. Nice. So that'd be quite nice for just affecting the vocals and leaving the beat pumping away underneath.
Yeah.
For instance.
Yeah. So the only other thing I wanted to show is the touch strip, because it's a slightly different way of controlling the effects. So you can punch it in. You can see that this effect is now set to 4 beats, but here I can change it by just touching the touch strip.
Nice. So it's nice and expressive, and it's right there, right where you need it. It's not tucked away, and it's not tiny. Nice and big. And
if you hit the instant button, now it's basically armed. So it's
so one touch is going to give me my.
Yep.
Nice, and as soon as your finger leaves.
Yeah. You can see this flashes to tell you it's live.
Nice, like it.
So it's really cool. The touch strip is fantastic. Only point on the touch strip is that there are actually 9 different settings on here, including a three-quarter beat setting, which sounds really nice on echo, but it's not available to you here because they've decided, because it also acts as a loop roll as well.
Right, so they've just taken the decision to...
Each one is half, half, half.
Okay.
They've done without that fraction, but there's one extra nice effects timing in the
hidden, an Easter egg. Right, let's talk about the inputs and outputs on this. It's a high-end mixer. You would expect the inputs and outputs to be also very high-end, everything covered, and they are indeed. So you've got 2 microphone inputs, independent levels, talk over, of course. Round the back is a second microphone input. You've got one on the top here, so there's your XLR and your jack inputs for that. There are 5 input selectors at the top here, so you've got your digital line, phono, your normal USB, and your DVS inputs at the top for every single channel. Around the back, you also get the full set, so you get the line and the phono inputs for each channel, and the 4 digital inputs as well if you want to just stay digital between your source material and your mixer. Now, I think that's most of the inputs. The outputs, well, you've got the full set of master outputs, but you've also got record output and booth output, and between them they spread across XLR, RCA, and the jack inputs, the jack outputs as well. And there is a send return for the effects, so you can set the effects, the BPM effects channel to send return, plug your external effects unit in around the back there as well. And there's a Midi out, so you can use the Midi clock information from here to control drum machines and synthesizers and so on.
Yeah.
So pretty much everything you'd expect is on here for inputs and outputs. And of course the computer. This has got 2 USBs for plugging in 2 computers for DJ switchovers and so on. Again, that's similar to Pioneer and Brain equipment as well. So I wanted to end off just by taking a look at the one thing about this mixer that is not obvious when you do what Steve's been doing for a few weeks and really playing with it, because it's hidden away behind those screens and behind a utility menu, but a lot of the power in this mixer is there. So Steve, maybe just give us a quick peek at what goes on in the utility menu.
Yeah, so in the utility menu here you've got lots of different things that you can play around with. So EQ, for example, there's the type, so you can have isolating or EQ, and also you can actually tweak the frequency of the high crossover and the low crossover in the EQ. You can reset back to defaults as well. Filter, you've got resonance settings.
Ah, that's nice because that's missing from the front panel. Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
Headphone gain, you can adjust there. Microphone, loads of different controls over the microphone.
You can set the talk over level. So if you like it when you turn into the mic, when you're talking to the mic, that the music pretty much disappears, you can do it, and the speed it comes back at as well. I think that's really nice.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
Advanced audio settings here, so master out level, booth out level, USB audio, DVS setup. There's too much to go into.
Yeah, but the point is there's an awful lot in there, and then the system settings give you all kinds of stuff like control over the way the colours work and so on.
Even cue settings, you can override these colours if you prefer other colours on the cue buttons and stuff like that. They're giving you complete control there.
So it's quite wisely tucked away there, and you don't need to go near any of that stuff. It all works perfectly fine without it. But oh yeah, I know what you're going to say, because he's the scratch DJ. He's spotted another little hidden trick in this one, and it's about the crossfader, isn't it?
It's the contour lock. It's these. So you've got these controls here for the fader contours, both the crossfader and the channel faders. If you want those, because these are, you know, in the field of play, if you like, these could be hit. Once you've got your settings set, you can actually lock them there in the utility menu as well, and you can lock the through controls on the faders as well. So
that's a really nice one, that, because quite often you kind of like, what's wrong? It's not.
Someone's fiddled with it, basically.
Well, that's a good way of locking that out.
Yep.
We could go on. There is a lot more under the skin of this mixer than meets the eye, but I think they've got the balance right. It looks standard. It feels standard. It does what you'd expect it to do, and you can plug anything to the back of it and be going with zero learning time at all. The more you scratch the surface, the more you realise what's been put into it. It sounds brilliant. It's 24-bit, 96 kilohertz sound card in there. It's got 10 outputs. You can actually plug a computer into one of the USBs and record all 10 outputs of this. So you could, in theory, record your whole set into a digital audio workstation, go home afterwards and work on it and get it perfect. From it's very, very powerful, but that's been wisely hidden underneath what is basically a very usable, very great sounding mixer.
And the build quality is fantastic. It is really lovely to use. You know, these were so great to use. These are just so nice to get out and play with, and the mixer complements them very nicely.
Great. Well, I'm sure we've rabbited on for long enough about it. I think you get the impression he likes it. We have written everything up over on the Digital DJ Tips website, and as I said at the beginning, I hope I said at the beginning, Denon's got a great video demonstrating these functions just one by one by one. So if you are interested and you like what you're seeing, go and watch their video as well. So if you've enjoyed this, subscribe to the channel and join Digital DJ Tips, where we can get more stuff just like this to you. Thanks very much for watching.
Bye.